I want to welcome Captain Lee from now the globally famous Below Deck. So welcome, sir.
He said, no, he said, I'm the captain. You get paid to do this?
Oh,
and he
wow.
said,
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
I get paid a lot.
Yeah.
I said, I want to be a captain.
Probably the leading show now for years, and you beat out the Housewives.
Yeah, that went over with Andy, I don't think, too well.
Yeah, that's probably right. She's a trip. I absolutely love Connie.
She took her top off and then smeared peanut butter all over. She'd notice which leg they'd put on first, and then she'd take the second leg and she'd sew it shut. They've got one good leg through, and then they try to put the second one through, and they fall on their ass. Double dog dare Connie to do anything because she'll do it.
Why do they call you the stud of the sea?
That came from Bravo. And they coupled it with a Barry White song. And I will never listen to Barry White the same ever again.
Welcome to The Outdoors with Carl Allen. This is our new podcast. Not that there aren't enough in the world already. I have many very interesting people that will visit me, whether it's about Walker's Cay and our fishing adventures, or our exploration fleet and treasure hunting, or even our land in Tennessee for hunting. So I figured, why not sit down with these folks and let them tell their story? Please tune in, like and subscribe, and follow on all social media platforms. Welcome to another episode of Outdoors with Carl Allen. Had some really amazing guests, but today we are hosting one of my absolute favorite people. Not hard to recognize here, but I want to welcome Captain Lee from now the globally famous Below Deck. So welcome, sir. And this is your second time
Thank you, Mr. A.
Walker's Cay, and it's great to have you back. Everybody just loved your first visit, and hopefully we can get to do some fun stuff before you get out of here.
This is truly one of my things that I look forward to, that if I make a date and I don't show up, something really bad happened.
Which has happened.
Yes, which has happened. And because I so look forward to coming here, because it's like the rest of the world shut down.
Yeah, I always say, leave everything over on that side of the Gulf Stream. You know, this is paradise.
And I don't, you can't describe the feeling.
Yeah.
It's like you have no care in the world.
I mean, I got to talk about the first time you were here. First time we met, you'd climbed in person. You'd climbed off the plane, and you had been your surgery.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh gosh, what am I going to do? We got all this fun stuff planned, and here you are, you're all gimped up, and I was like, I was like, what are we going to do? And you were here for, I think, 3.5 days.
Yeah.
And out of all the stuff we do out here, you did it all and some. I was truly amazed by that. You're so tough. I know what you've been through. And, when we first met, I'm like, this guy is somebody I want to hang out with, because it doesn't matter what's in your way, we're going to do it. We even got you in the damn hole treasure hunting, and you found stuff.
We did.
So
yeah,
that's rare.
It was, there was no way I was missing 1 second of this. I mean, I didn't care what you had planned.
You're going.
I'm in.
I mean, you were like a little kid with the icon. I remember that's probably one of your favorite things, climbing in that. And
we got in. I'm a little trouble getting in, but I got in, and your pilot was just so gracious and accommodating. And he said, "You want to fly this thing?" And I went like,
why not?
Is a 40-pound robin fat?
By the way, you're going to hear these one-liners. We're going to refer to those a few times. But
I just, no way in the world I'm passing up an opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
And it was odd because the stick was up here.
Yes.
By the window, which we didn't have because we took the windows and the doors off. to get the true effect. And you can't describe to people what it feels like to be skimming over the water at 100 miles an hour and there's only 10, 15 feet between you and the water.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because the sensation of speed increases so drastically when you're that close. And it's just like, what a rush.
Well,
and then I'm thinking to myself, I don't know. I could use both hands and not know that many people that have had the opportunity to experience the things that I have.
Yeah.
And that's one of them.
Oh, that's really neat to hear. That's awesome.
And the sub, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we got you in there. We had to use a little Vaseline, but we got you in there.
Just grease him up and push on his head.
But, talk about that a little bit. Was that your first time in a submersible?
First time in a submersible, and just to watch the whole operation. And your crew, they're all studs. They're just pros.
And coming from a guy like you, that means a lot.
They had everything down to the letter. The diver in the water, when we got dropped off, when we climbed from the tender onto the sub, and then up on the bubble. And I didn't realize how thick the glass was on that.
Oh, yeah.
6 inches or something.
It's actually
like that.
acrylic, but it's 6.5 inches thick. And submersibles got a little news this year with the Ocean Quest, Ocean Gate, with that submarine accident. But ours has been around for 30 years. No one's ever had an accident in it. It's real safe. But we're only rated to 3,300 feet. I think you and I, we just went. Yeah, only. But as a surface guy, I guess that means a lot. But
when you're looking up because the bubble's so big, and you start to descend, and you look up, and you can see the surface, and you can see our diver, who accompanied us.
See the diver.
Yeah,
right?
he hung out with us. I don't know, maybe 75, 80 feet or something like that.
Yes.
Before he went
Gives
back
you
up.
some perspective.
Yeah, and then you look down, and there's just nothing.
Zero. Yeah. Someday
and
we have
you're
to.
leaving that up there.
Different world.
And you're going down to, I can't see anything.
Yeah. I've had a lot of captains say that. I don't like going too far that way, but someday I got to get you down to the southern Bahamas. That's where there's some really.
Well, it was really great. It was, like I said, your crew just nailed everything.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Well, if they made a mistake, I sure as hell didn't.
Well, no, they do. We try and hide them, as you know. You're experienced at that. You're going to make mistakes. It's how well you hide them and make learn from them and move on. But I think the people
that's the consummate pro.
It is. That is. The people that listen to this show are definitely know who you are and are interested in water and ocean and ships and shipwrecks and all that. What? Because I know your story very well. Your book is fantastic. We'll talk about that later. But what is it that initially got you sort of into the yachting, where I'm a yacht owner and what it takes to be one? It's you're only as good as your captain. Absolutely. In this business. And so, tell me a little bit about what got you into this. Why are you in this?
I was busy going broke in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And I'll be totally frank, our checking account was down to $52. Wow. That was it. And I couldn't get a job because you had to have a work permit. Huh. So even if there were 10 jobs on the island that I could do and no islander wanted that job, I still couldn't have it.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, as a business owner, which I was at that time, I think it was, this was 85. It was a restaurant.
Oh, it was a restaurant.
And they were building a casino and a hotel right next to it. So I figured location-wise, I'm pretty solid.
Should be good.
And it was built right out over the water on stilts.
Oh, wow.
So there was nothing wrong with the sunsets.
That's pretty awesome, yeah.
Yeah, it was in Turtle Cove.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And then they only got 2 stories up on the hotel and casino, and the company went bankrupt.
Oh, no.
And I'm going like, oh.
Great. Now you're next to a construction site. Yeah.
So we got rid of that location, and we were going to open up a lunch shop. Well, you have to have a partner. That's an islander.
Okay.
And so I had a partner, He was my bartender at our restaurant. And after it was all said and done, I found out he was ripping me off. He had a crack habit.
Oh, jeez.
And I supported it for a long time. And so when I said we had $52 left in the checking account, that's exactly what we had because he'd smoked all the rest of it.
God.
So we couldn't open up our lunch shop. That fell through. And I saw a sign on a dive shop on the bulletin board. Said, mate wanted, delivery, no experience necessary.
Oh, jeez.
And they're like, that's me. No experience necessary. Because I'd never seen the ocean until I was 35.
I didn't know if I knew that part. Wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
Is that
And
right?
so I went home and I told Mary. Of course, it was in the middle of hurricane season.
Oh, great. Throw that in there.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know.
Jeez.
I'd never seen a hurricane either. So I told her I was going to do it. And she said, well, you know, it's hurricane season. And I said, it's a week out, maybe 10 days out, and I'll be home. She said, well, I won't be here when you get back.
Whoa.
And I said, honey, we've got $52 in the checking account.
Oh, she was going to leave you.
Where are you going to go?
Oh, jeez.
And how are you going to get there?
Wow.
And well, you know, by now she didn't go anywhere.
Well, you haven't. I haven't met her yet, so I'm thinking she's fake. So we'll go with that for now. But we'll talk about Marianne later.
So she, and then the other thing that had me definitely cross over is somebody brought in an 85-footer, which in 1985 was a good sized boat.
That was like top 100. Yeah.
So they brought in an 85-footer, and I was talking to the guy. I thought he was the owner. He was pretty casual dressed like I am now, not a uniform or anything. And after chatting with him, I said, this is really like unbelievable. He showed me the staterooms and the water and the engineering part of it, everything. And I said, and you just stay on this? He said, no. He said, I'm the captain.
You thought, wow.
I said, you get paid to do this?
Jeez.
And he said, yeah.
Oh,
and he
wow.
said,
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
I get paid a lot.
Yeah.
And he told me, and I went, really?
Well, it's one of my favorite lines from your show. You talk about that a lot. You very much appreciate your job, which is great.
Absolutely. So when I came back from the delivery, the guy pimped me out of half my money, handed me a big wad of cash. I mean, he handed me a wad of cash, looked like a choke a horse.
Jeez.
And the plane was fired up. It was a little twin, something or other, just island hopper. And he said, fare's all taken care of. Here's your pay. And he hustled me on the plane.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I got on a plane and I counted my money and he screwed me out of half of it.
Oh, no. Did he really?
He really did.
Jeez.
And I thought, well, I'm not off to a real great start here.
Oh, God.
And that's when I found out I got seasick. I
Oh,
was
no.
I was prone to seasick.
He's admitting that here on camera. He got
Yes.
seasick. We've all been there.
I got seasick and I was sick the whole trip.
Wow.
And I came back and I told Marianne, I said, I finally figured out what I want to do for a living, what I want for my career. I said, I want to be a captain.
Okay. So that was it.
That
Wow.
was it. And I said, I want to work on the ocean. And I don't know what it was that clicked with me out there, Mr. A, but it was just, there's just something magical out there.
Yeah.
And you can't really explain it to people.
Yeah.
If you have to explain it, they don't need to be out there.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, as you know, I've been a huge fan. I'm a below deck addict from the beginning, and it's funny because I have this crew, and they all say, "Oh no, that really doesn't happen." And yes, it does happen. But I know people are going to ask me. I've already had a few of the viewers ask me to ask you this question. So here we go. Why do they call you the stud of the sea, and where did that come from?
That came from Bravo.
And I think That's awesome, by the way.
Well, thank you.
So,
That came from Bravo, and they used it in one of their promotions. I think it was for season 1. I think it was season 2. And they coupled it with a Barry White song.
oh, did they really?
And I will never listen to Barry White the same ever again. Ever.
Oh, that's
I won't
funny.
even listen to his music
Oh,
now.
my God.
I just, and it just stuck. And then everywhere on social media, all you saw was Stud of the
I
Sea.
mean, it's a pretty good title. I gotta say,
I had absolutely nothing to do with it.
I mean, I was just in Europe. I'm sure you're aware of this, but you're very popular in Europe.
I'm actually going to do a tour over there, a 5-city tour this October.
Yes, there are billboards. I mean, I'm driving in Paris. There you are. It's like, what pretty amazing stuff, So, I mean, while you're here, I got to ask, I know people would be very interested in this. And when you talk about guests and crew, and we laughed last night about the one lady, Dolores, which is my favorite episode. But
did you remember what she did afterwards?
Oh, yeah. But tell, please.
Well, I went and told in the morning after I calmed down because you were calmed down. I did need to calm down.
You needed a walk.
Oh yeah, and at 200 feet, a boat gets pretty small when you got to go for a walk.
It's not a long walk, no. Yeah.
So I was just so pissed off that I had to calm down before I talked to the primary.
Yeah.
Dolores wasn't even the primary.
No, she wasn't. Yeah.
And so I called him up to the wheelhouse in the morning, and I said, here's the way it is. I said, she disobeyed a direct order for her own safety.
Yeah.
I said, what am I going to do? Call up her family and tell them that she's dead?
Oh, God. I'm about ready to cry because I would laugh so hard on that episode.
How am I going to do that?
I mean,
So I said, you guys can stay and finish out the charter if you'd like to. But Dolores is toast. She's gone. I'm putting her on a boat. She's out of here.
Yeah.
And they hesitated about 2 seconds before they threw her under the bus.
Yeah.
They went,
it didn't take long.
We're fine.
It didn't take long. Yeah. No. But I gotta ask. I mean, look, I've gotten to know you. We're men to men here. There had to be a moment there where you got to go, okay, we're on national TV, dude. I'm going to take her down. And you did, and which was appropriate, believe me. Have you had any contact with her? Has there been any response? I know social media lit up over it, but...
Well, it's funny because when I sent her off on the tender, she waited till she got about 50 feet away from the boat. She jumped in the water again with all her plumbing. Again, twice.
Who was driving the boat?
It was one of the mates, and it was the ultimate fuck you.
Yes, it was. And she did that.
She did it. And she was proud of it.
What did Dolores do what was all that?
Well, we were on the hook, had a nice dinner with the charter guests, and she gets down and she's just, I'm a water person. Everybody that gets on a charter boat, for Christ's sake, is a water person, right? So she decides, she says, I think I'll go for a swim. I said, Dolores, I really don't think that's a good idea. I said, we're quite a ways from shore. I said, there's a lot of sharks in this water. I said, and they feed at night. I said, and you could see the tarpon roll and you could see the bait fish down there, and you knew the sharks were right there. And she looked at me, and I said, do not go in the water. And she sat there and she looked at me for could have been like 30 seconds, wasn't it, Carl?
Yep.
A long time. And turned her back and went in the water. Just...
And you could just see
that's all she was doing.
Little puffs of steam coming out, and it was
I was cooking.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, you get your goddamn ass back here and you get out of the water now.
Who was your chief stew on that? That wasn't Kate, was it?
No.
No.
I can't remember. Might have been that Australian girl that we had for a season.
Yeah.
And somebody said, one of my deckhands says, oh, I'll go in the water after her. I said, how stupid are you? And at that point, I was beyond I didn't care if somebody got embarrassed or not. I said, now I've got 2 people in the water that I'm not going to be able to see. She gets in trouble and starts to drown. She's taking you down with her. Now I've got 2 sets of parents to notify. I said, no. I said, you're not going in the water.
Yeah.
If she doesn't come back to the boat, we do the best we can, but I'm not sending anybody in, period.
Did she hop back?
And some people, she hopped, she hopped out in short order.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, I don't even want to talk to you. Go to your quarters.
Wow. Well, let's talk about crew for a minute. I mean, you've had an array of crew, you know, and I share some of that knowledge with you because of what I do. And, you know, I've had probably 10 captains that I've worked with. And, you know, you see different management styles and how people operate. Everybody's a little different. You know, in comparison to the other captains on there, I personally like the way that you do it. I mean,
Thank you.
here's a meeting with all the crew in the beginning. It's pretty simple. Here's I'm going to do my best impression. Don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass the boat. Don't embarrass yourself, and we'll get along great. Pretty close, right?
And if you want to succeed on this boat, put your head down and work.
There you go.
Do your job.
Do your job. Because, as you know, everybody's got one.
Yes, and you need to understand that. I've never understood this, but a lot of people, as soon as the camera starts rolling, they morph into a different individual.
No, see, that's
There's
something
somebody else.
I haven't had to deal
I
with.
am the next Johnny Depp. Check my ass out. I am bad, right? Check me out. And I had a engineer like that. And I told him, I said, I need you to go swap out all the filters before the charter starts on the air handlers. And he goes, get right on it, Skip, as soon as I get a cameraman and a sound tech.
Oh, no.
And I said, excuse me?
I'm sorry.
I said, if production thinks that watching your ass wiggle into little holes and change out little filters in air handlers is really sexy or hot,
Yeah.
there's no doubt in my mind they will have a camera down there and a heartbeat and a sound guy.
Oh, my God.
But until that happens,
Yeah.
I need you to go do it.
Yes. So over the years, I know you've had some tremendous crew because
Yes.
you still have relationships with a lot of them. Give me a crazy crew story. I'm sure they'd love to hear something.
Connie was one of my
Oh,
favorite.
by the way, we're about ready to talk about Connie. She was here. We had a absolute ball one night here. She's a trip. I absolutely love Connie.
You can't double dog dare Connie to do anything because she'll do it. Make no mistake about it.
You see that gantry over there?
She will do it. She's into having a good time. She's not into embarrassing anybody or hurting somebody.
No, it's just a good
And
time.
she's one of the hardest working deckhands I'd ever had on board.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, the way she speaks of you is just fatherly and so much respect, and just it was really neat. But I actually kind of met her because of you, because you walked up with her one day and you said, "You know this guy? Get her up here now." Of course I know her, and just we had a ball. Of course we had a couple of cocktails and sat there and just had a great dinner, and God, I'd love to have her back. Said, get you two in the same room would be fun.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, she was always hard. Loved a great practical joke.
Yes. I
Like
could tell that.
what'd she do? She took her top off and then smeared peanut butter all over where her bra would have been if she was wearing one.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, do not dare Connie to do anything because she will.
Jeez.
She used to take the guys and she would pay attention because, I mean, down in the crew quarters, sometimes they get dressed with locking the door or shutting the doors. Sometimes they don't.
Yes.
Guys don't care. They're putting on their work shorts.
Yeah.
When does anybody care? You've seen guys in underwear before.
Sure.
So she would watch them and she'd notice which leg they'd put on first.
Oh, jeez.
And they're creatures of habit. You always put the first leg on that, every time you do it the same way. So, and this is how I found out why she brought her sewing machine. I mean, have you ever heard of a deckhand bringing a sewing machine on board?
No.
Okay. Connie brought a sewing machine. And she'd notice which leg they'd put on first, and then she'd take the second leg and she'd sew it shut.
Oh, no.
So they've got one good leg through,
Walk
and then
around.
they try to put the second one through, and they fall on their ass.
Jeez.
And then just when they think
wow.
they're all free and clear, because they know Connie did it,
Jeez.
then she'd already filled up their deck shoes with shaving cream.
Oh.
There was no time that you were safe.
Oh, God. Well, I mean, you know how it
all in
is.
fun.
If you don't have a little bit of that, I mean, this is a tough job. I mean, you work on these things, and even though I give a little bit of rotation and we're only on here about half the year, it's, 7-day weeks, 14-hour days,
hard work.
3 meals a day. You've got guests. There's laundry going on. I mean, it's basically a floating community is what these things are. And, when you do find a good crew,
Everything's got to be kept running, and everything's got to be kept running properly. And everybody else has to depend on everybody else to do their job as it should be done. Because if not, somebody's got to pick it up.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking earlier today at lunch, and I think you said this when we talked the first trip you were here, but your favorite season was probably the first one because
Yes.
it really launched everything. You weren't even supposed to be on there. You were sort of an
I didn't
extra,
wanna be there.
and you didn't want to be there. And then it gets back, to the editing room, and they're, wait a minute, who's this guy? I mean, my God, he's the character.
Here's the way my boss explained it to me. He said, take the boat down to he contacted me at the Miami Boat Show. And he said, we've got a 2-month charter coming up. And I'm going like, oh, no. I hate 2-month charters because they're the same people.
All the time.
And then they
Yeah.
just rotate all of their friends in and out. So, and they're all different. And it's hard for 2 months because there's no breaks. You don't get a day off for 2 months straight.
Yeah.
So I said, who is it? And he says, you're not going to believe it. He said, it's a television network. He said, and they want to shoot a TV show on our boat. And I said, I don't want to be on TV. I said, and I don't want to be part of a television series. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
And he says, you don't have to. He says, all you got to do is take the boat down to St. Martin, drop it off. They've rented a house on the beach for you. You go down to the boat every 3rd day or every 4th day, check on it, make sure they're not destroying it.
They probably were, but
And then come, if there's something wrong, let me know. We'll get it fixed or we'll get it straightened out, whatever it is. And you get paid. I'll pay you. He said, and they'll pay you what I pay you. Again, so double pay, 2 days worth of work a day or a week.
yeah.
And the rest of the time, Marianne and I can lay on the beach. And I said, yeah,
Why not?
I'm in.
Yeah.
And then we got down there, and their captain comes in, and we got a notice from the insurance company. Well, he had a big enough license. He didn't have any experience.
He didn't have the experience. That's the way it is. It's always the insurance companies. Yeah.
And they rule.
Yep.
And so they said, oh, yeah, you can keep him,
But
you're going to be self-insured.
yep.
So, you had a $30 million boat.
All of a sudden, you're looking pretty cheap.
Yeah, I'm the blue light special at Kmart.
Yeah.
That's what I am.
Oh my God.
And they said, but we don't have any old people on Bravo.
Yeah.
And we certainly don't have anybody with gray hair.
Yeah.
I was ready to just say, here's the keys, you drive.
Jeez. And then lo and behold, you become
Yeah.
the reason.
They tried to film around me,
Yeah.
and they cut me out of as many scenes as they possibly could. And then they finished it, They sent it to New York. New York looked at it and said, "What is this?" So where's the captain?
Where's the captain? Jeez.
And they said, "Well, we made a game time decision to leave him out of as much of it as we could because he's really not. He doesn't really fit in with our genre."
Jeez.
So this is why it took a year and 7 months for the show to come out. Because they had this big
18 months to
they had this big PR campaign.
Oh my, I didn't know that.
With a huge budget.
Jeez.
They were going to put our pictures all over buses and stuff. But then they had to re-edit the whole show, all 10 episodes.
Wow.
And
Jeez. And
that took a lot of time.
But it worked.
And it took a lot of money.
Yeah.
And apparently they were happy. I was asking Rebecca when we had some downtime. I said, "What's a good number for a show to be invited back for a second season? You know, you're just doing your premiere.
Right.
What's a good number?" She said 750,000 on the inside. Mm-hmm. That's kind of skinny. Be better if it was like 850 or 900, but 750 will get you another look. And we came in on our debut, and with no promotion, we came in on our debut at 1,250,000.
Yeah, that'll get. There you go.
That got everybody's attention, and our numbers never ever went down.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's I think probably the leading show now for years, and you beat out the Housewives.
Yeah, that went over with Andy, I don't think, too well.
Yeah, that's probably right.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, Cap, you know, you've mentioned this woman named Mary Ann a few times, and I've tried to get her out here, I think, 5 times now. Does she really exist?
Yeah. She does. She's the love of my life, and we've been together 49 years.
Wow.
And
5 kids?
5 kids.
5 kids.
We lost one.
I know you did, yes.
And there's not a day that goes by we don't think about him.
I'm sure. Yes.
And it's a funny thing when you lose a kid. It's abnormal.
Yes.
Because your kids are supposed to bury you.
Yes.
Not the other way around.
Right.
So that was a hard pill to swallow. But everybody grieves in a different fashion, and she's kind of climbed inside a bubble, just kind of keeps to herself. And she's starting to come out of it now, where, you know, we'll go out to dinner, and then when we think of Josh, instead of just coming apart like a cheap suit, which usually happens when we start talking about him, now we're getting to the point where we're remembering the good times and the happy times and the times that, you know, we would all laugh together. Those times are becoming more and more prevalent in our life than the other way around.
There you go. That's great. That's good.
So yeah. I think we might turn her into a little bit of a social butterfly soon.
There you go. Yeah. Well, please, next time you come, you're not coming without her. I'll call her first if I have to.
She'll come down here for a fishing trip.
You know, to kind of wrap things up, I mean, we could talk all damn night, but to keep this in our normal time period here, I always ask folks, you know, what's next? You know, we've talked a little bit about what you're up to. You've got one more season coming out in Below Deck, I believe, right?
No.
Oh, that's it?
No, that was it.
Okay.
I thought they might ask me back for season 12, but they didn't.
Okay.
But I did a little thing called Couch Talk with Kate.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. I didn't have. That's talking about all the housewives shows.
Yeah.
That's not really me.
That's not really you, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So we had a group from London. I flew over there and we did a sizzle reel for a true crime series. And it's been over a year in the making, 2 years actually. And we just wrapped filming last week. That's when I told you I was in Kentucky. And it'll be out June 1st.
Okay. Really? Come on, Bravo?
It's going to be on. It's going to premiere on Oxygen, but it's also going to be on Bravo. It's going to be on USA, and it's also going to be on Paramount, or no, Peacock.
Peacock. Okay. Well, I wanted to end with a few things, but talk about a couple of my other favorite stars on the show. One I know is a very close individual to you, and that's Eddie.
Absolutely.
Solid character. He's now running tugs up there somewhere in Maryland. I think we talked about.
He's got his 4 stripes.
He's got the old. Yes, that's awesome.
It's good to be captain.
And you guys are still close. You talk to him, and
Yeah, we. The first thing when that tanker hit the
when
bridge.
they hit the bridge in Baltimore.
As soon as I found out about it, I called Eddie, and he said, "I'm fine, Cap." First words out of his mouth.
Or that.
I'm okay.
Wow. So he was near there.
He was near there.
Oh my.
He just finished his rotation,
Jeez.
stepped off the boat.
God, I didn't know that. I thought that we said something this morning. He was that close. Jeez.
Yeah. Well, it's
Wow.
Baltimore Inner Harbor, and that's where he runs
all
his
right
tugs.
There. That's God. Yeah. I mean, you think that if that had happened a different time of day, I mean,
Oh, catastrophic.
it would have been. I mean, that
There'd
bridge
have
is
been thousands of
full
people.
at traffic hour. I mean, it's just
Thousands of people
okay.
would have been
The
lost.
name slips me, but the guy that got the line around his around his leg on the back deck, Ashton, yes.
Yeah.
You've spoken highly of Ashton in the past, and are you guys still close? And
We're not as close as when I got to finally see how he treated the female staff on board the boat.
it was a little different after that.
It
So
was a whole lot different.
okay, yeah,
That sort of behavior should never be tolerated,
okay.
and I didn't.
I mean, but there was a time where you guys were. I mean, that was
Well,
one of your
he
things.
was- he was
I almost had to call his parents, and
Yeah, he was a hard worker,
yeah,
but he had a problem with the bottle.
yeah,
And he'd get in and get an attitude, and especially with women.
yeah, yeah.
And he almost punched out one of the windows in the van when Kate was in it.
Yeah.
And his anger was directed at her. And that whole incident,
yeah.
caused
right.
her not to even spend the
That's
night
right.
on the boat.
I remember that. She left. She left that night. Yeah.
And we're in Taiwan.
Yeah. I mean, so some
Or
of
no,
those
we're in Thailand.
when you see some of those scenes, I mean, that's real stuff. I mean, it's not made up.
Yeah, when Ashton went over the side, we had 3 things that were really critical at that point in time. And Riley, remember Riley?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
She had a hard time. She had social issues with the guys and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's because most of the time she was working harder than they were.
That's right.
Then-
I'm glad you said that.
And that pissed him off. But she had the good sense to get on a radio and say, "Man overboard."
That saved his life.
That saved his life.
Yeah.
That and 2 other things. Upon hearing "Man overboard," I take both clutches out of gear.
Yes.
So our props are stopped.
Stop.
But we're still not done moving.
Which means if that line had gone tight, he would have lost his
Well,
leg.
That's what almost
and
happened.
Maybe bled to death.
Because what happened was we're still going forward about 5 knots. So the line's still getting tighter and tighter.
And how much does a tender weigh? A
Tender weighs 15,000, 20,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So we're dragging that behind us, and that line's getting tighter. And you can see him. He pops up, goes under, pops up, goes under, pops up, goes under. 3 times he did that, and the line's getting tighter. That's when one of our cameramen dropped his camera
That's the key.
and started undoing the lines. Because I couldn't put it in reverse because I couldn't get anybody on the goddamn
That's
radio
right. And you didn't want
to
to back
tell
over
me
somebody, right? Yeah.
where is he?
Yes.
Is he under the boat or is he
Right.
30 yards behind me? Well, it turns out he was 30 yards behind me.
Right.
Had I known he was 30 yards behind me, I could have backed up and relieved the tension on the tow line.
Yeah.
But you're 100% right. If that line comes tight, it was going to sever his foot right at the ankle.
Right.
And there's no way
to stop that.
We're in Thailand.
Yeah, you're going to stop that bleeding.
Or no, that was Tahiti.
Right, that was Tahiti.
That was
That's
Tahiti.
Right. Yeah.
So there's no way that, that they've got a trauma center that one could handle it.
Yeah.
And how are we going to get him out of the water fast enough to stop the bleeding
Yeah.
when you severed major arteries?
Right. Yeah. Well, that was
So that
certainly
was-
probably one of the most emotional below decks I've ever watched.
Oh,
was
that
that
shook
one.
me to my core.
And you could tell you were upset. And, knowing that, my God, I almost had to call your parents. And you told them that. You pulled them up there and said, I almost had to call your parents.
What would I?
Yeah.
How would I say that to
Yeah.
them?
I don't know. That's,
I'm sorry. I'm captain of the boat that your son worked on,
and he's gone.
and
Yeah.
he's gone.
Yeah. Well, as you
We've
know,
had an accident.
it's
and-
dangerous out there, and we get our share of brain deads. I mean, you have your one-liners all day long. A couple of my favorites are that mate's 2 tacos shy of a combo plate. That's my second favorite. My first one is that mate could screw up, and you don't use those terms. You use the F term. That mate could screw up a 2-car funeral, and then. You tell the one about the cup you gave me. What was the one that's on the cup today? Well, there's 2 of them. There's
There are
one.
2 of them. One is suck it up, cream puff.
Suck it up, cream puff.
When they come to me and they tell me how tired they are and I've just been worked too hard, suck it up. I don't want to hear that shit. And the other one is I would. And this,
This is my favorite.
Ben prompted this one,
Yes,
and we were standing in the galley, and he
this
goes,
is classic.
"Cap," he says, in his British accent, "What do you think of these mates we've got on board now?" And I said, "Ben," I would rather drag my dick through 10 miles of broken whiskey bottles than have these assholes on my boat again."
I mean, I'm sorry. That's classic. I mean, and that Below Deck didn't come up with that. He
And that
did
was
right
true.
there.
I would have.
10 miles.
10 miles.
10 miles. Oh my God. Okay. Well, this has been great having you. I would love having you back. Your guests that you brought with you. We got maybe some plans in the future, but I do think I can sell a few books for you here in a minute now. So I do want to talk real quickly about Running Against the Tide. You did that, 4 years ago now? When was that?
I think it was 4 years,
Okay.
4 years ago.
So, folks, you need to go out and get this book and read about this man's life. It's been fascinating. We've enjoyed having him come out here. And yes, there is a woman named Mary Ann that will someday come out to Walker's Carry. Mary Ann, we're out here next time you're invited. So, Captain, anything to say goodbye there?
It's just an honor to be here, as it always is.
Awesome.
And
Yeah.
it's an honor to be invited to be on your podcast.
Well, I
I
think
hope I didn't piss off too many people.
before we started, you invited me on yours. So
Yes,
we'll have
you will be doing my podcast very soon, I have a hunch.
Okay, well, you can deal with my boys over here and figure that out. I'd absolutely love to do that. So,
I would like nothing better than to have you on.
all right, sir. Well, great to have you. Thanks for coming, Cap, and God bless you. And
Thank you, Mr.
we
A.
hope to see you in the future here. So,
You're going to have a hard time getting rid of me.
all right. Thank you. That's it for the Carl Allen Pornographic Fishing Show. Oh, yeah.